Country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid. And then there's abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hole up.
Nearly a year since Bill Maher openly challenged what he sees as extreme political correctness, and he's showing no signs of backing down. His latest target? Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC. She's a well-known, progressive voice who's been traveling across the country, sharing her strong views that continue to spark mixed reactions nationwide.
I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
Bill Maher's had enough, and he's not holding back. In his usual sharp style, he called out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's constant push for her progressive ideas. He questioned whether people are still buying into her message, from climate fears to big economic promises. Maher made it clear he's not convinced, and it turns out he's not alone. More and more people are starting to see it all as political theater rather than real solutions. With his dry humor and blunt honesty, Maher put the whole narrative under fire.
Abortion, a difficult issue for the Democrats to lose on, but they're trying. For decades, liberals have said if only men could get pregnant, this wouldn't even be an issue. And abortion rights are women's rights. Well, that's wrong now. Or as the kids say, hole up. When the wokey end of the progressive spectrum talks about abortion now, they shy away from that word, women, and prefer terms like birthing people or people who menstruate, because somewhere there's a trans man who's pregnant, and I say good for him, and I'll be looking for his story somewhere in a future issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not.
AOC may have finally met her match, live on national TV. Bill Maher didn't hold back. He asked the big question that's been on many minds. Why continue pushing a political agenda that some see as divisive and out of touch? Most people might take a step back and rethink. But not AOC. She's staying the course, fully committed to her views, whether the public agrees or not. But here's where things took a turn. Maher didn't just share a few criticisms. He delivered a sharp, calculated response. It wasn't just commentary. It was a direct challenge that left no room for spin or social media distractions. So buckle up. This next part gets intense.
More of them now than ever are identifying as Republican. So are Asian Americans, whose support for Democrats is down 16 points since the last election. A lot of that is because, in the name of achieving equity in schools, Democrats in deep blue cities have made it a mission to eliminate the advanced programs at which Asian kids excel. Asian parents said, okay, I wish all kids well, not a racist, but I need someone who acts like my lawyer.
Maher took aim at a major issue: how today's politics has made even basic questions, like what defines a woman, controversial. What used to be simple biology has now become a hot-button topic. He pointed out that asking honest questions often leads to criticism or labels. Instead of open discussion, people get shut down. And while the debate grew louder in some circles, many everyday Americans quietly stepped away, not with protests, but by tuning it all out. School, school, school. When common sense starts getting ignored, people eventually stop going along with it. What came next was a major political setback, one of the biggest the Democratic Party has seen in years. It wasn't because voters suddenly became extreme. It was because many felt their everyday reality was being dismissed or criticized. People didn't walk away out of anger, they just got tired of feeling misled. The Democrats didn't just lose votes, they lost trust. And once trust is gone, it's hard to win back. After feeling pushed for too long, voters responded, not with protests, but at the ballot box. That's exactly what happened.
85% Latino congressional district on the border with Mexico, which had always voted heavily Democratic, flipped to the red team. And the campaign manager for the losing Democrat said, "We gave up a reliably Democratic congressional seat for no reason at all. We deserve to know why." Well, aside from your terrible attitude, I'm going to tell you why. Because these voters stopped seeing your candidate as their lawyer.
AOC and her political circle toured deep blue states like they were unstoppable, treated like stars with free rein to push bold ideas, from open borders to identity politics. But here's where things took a turn. They underestimated the quiet majority. They mistook cheers for agreement and loyalty for approval. But people were paying attention. And when they'd had enough, they spoke with their votes. Many who once supported AOC began pulling away. Just like that, her support started to crack. And those cracks weren't small. Surprisingly, it was the Republican Party, long criticized by AOC, that welcomed many of her former supporters. This wasn't just a shift in mood, it was a serious shakeup. Now the question is this a temporary stumble for AOC, or the beginning of a much bigger downfall? Because if your movement is built more on image than real connection, even a small shift can bring it all crashing down. And as for Bill Maher, he's not holding back. He's watching the whole thing unfold, front and center, mic in hand.
Parent and wanted schools to reopen a lot sooner than they did after COVID shutdowns, or think maybe your kid is getting a bad education, partly because it's nearly impossible to fire a lousy teacher? Yeah, you're going to say, congratulations, teachers, you got yourself a good lawyer. The Democratic Party's always got your back, 100%. But I've noticed my kid is kind of an idiot. So I may be looking for new representation.
But here's the thing. Bill Maher isn't making threats. He's making a tough point. Voters want leaders who stand with them, who fight for them. They want a fighter, not someone who gets cozy with elites, plays nice with the media, or lets down their own supporters just to gain attention. That's exactly where AOC and her progressive team have stumbled. Instead of fighting for the people who voted for them, they've spent time lecturing, policing language, and pushing policies that feel more like college debates than real solutions. People are left wondering, whose side are you really on? Maher isn't just complaining. Every joke and jab is part of a bigger message. He's showing how far these leaders have drifted from their promises. The ones who said they'd challenge the system now seem like part of it. AOC still talks like she's fighting for the little guy, but to many watching, she's now the one under pressure. This isn't just another rally, it's a moment of truth.
And Biden wants to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. Okay, but the poorer 2/3 of American kids who don't get a college degree are going to say, why should the people who didn't go to college and make less money subsidize the people who did go and make more? You want me to chip in so some liberal arts college can build a bigger rock wall? You're not my lawyer. A universal basic income probably sounds pretty good to a lot of people struggling without a college degree. And a number of cities have been running pilot programs in guaranteed income. But the West Hollywood program had to be suspended because it was unconstitutional. They set up a program where 25 residents were to get $1,000 for 18 months, but only if you identified as LGBT, the rest of that. Why? Because they need money more than any other people? Because no one in West Hollywood will hire a gay person? In 2020, Bernie Sanders said he would legalize marijuana on his first day as president, but that the business of selling pot would be awarded first to those who suffered most from the drug war. And you know what? I can't argue with that instinct. The drug war has been a horrendous instrument of prejudice and punishment for racial minorities. So it seems fair that they jumped the line for weed franchises the way Indians did for casinos. But it's also what's holding up Republican support for legalizing weed nationally, which would be good for everybody. And these are the hard practical choices the Democrats have to weigh. Redress the past, or reach out to the gettable white voter who says, you know what, I'd like a shot at getting in the pot business. But to do that, our entire audience. But to do that, I'm going to need a good lawyer who fights for me. These issues, the wavering voter is saying to her lawyer, the Democratic Party, hey, so happy for you that you have so many other clients and that you care so much about their problems and all the pro bono work you do. But you're supposed to be my lawyer. The Democrats need to be like the lawyers you see on billboards. You hurt, we fight.